Justine Colyer is the CEO of Rise Network, a leading provider of housing and care services for people with disability based in Perth. Rise is a part of the NDIS trial site in WA, and Justine joins us today to discuss some of their challenges and the learnings they now have to share with other providers. If you could please start off by telling us, Justine, what have been your key challenges in the NDIS trial sites and how have you overcome them?
The main issue, I think, was pricing, which I think a lot of people would say was pretty key. It's a very different pricing structure to one we were used to, and it was a lot lower than what we'd historically delivered under a state scheme. So that was one issue. The other big issue we faced was around staffing and the culture. So we were used to running block programs funded in advance, which didn't require a lot of changing for individuals. So that whole culture shift of we have to be there, responsive to the individual, and not just keep churning out the same thing day after day with the two big things. In terms of how we overcame them, the pricing issue, there's a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, in the sector, I think. There was a bit of a rush to get in and just start delivering. In the end, we decided to have a 3-month moratorium on doing any service delivery and just sit down, take a deep breath and work out really what the pricing structure was and what it would allow us to do. So it's harder to change that once you started the service delivery. So the best thing was to really work out exactly what our model was going to be and then cost it incredibly thoroughly and then decide whether we'd play in that space or not. And that would be my one big tip for anyone looking at getting into this. Sit down and do that work at the front end. You're not going to lose out if you just take a deep breath and look at that for a few weeks, but you will lose out if you rush into something and you don't really know what it costs. The other big issue was working with staff and just trying to recruit a different type of person, I think, in terms of not being fixated on qualifications, but really thinking about what sort of person we wanted, what values, what attributes when we were interviewing them. Qualifications will tell you certain things to do, but it won't give you someone who's autonomous, comfortable with ambiguity, happy to think on their feet and make decisions. And that's what you have to do when you go from running a program every Thursday that's always the same to being out and about with an individual and having to decide things on the run. So we've started to change the culture that way.
And were there any key resources or people you met along the way that were very helpful that may be able to help other people who face those same challenges?
Yeah. So there's two things I can instantly think of. There's a brilliant thing called the NDIS Readiness Toolkit. And we were one of the organisations in WA who piloted it and helped make it fully formed. So that's available from NDS. And it just asks you a load of questions about every area of your business, a little sort of self-assessment, really, health check. And it breaks it down into desired practices and advanced practices. So it prompted us to think of things and do things that we hadn't otherwise thought of. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to share the information if you don't want to, but you do have the opportunity of assessing yourself and sharing it as part of a broader nationwide assessment, and you can see where you're going with it. We started using that about a year ago, and we're still using it today. And the sense of achievement you feel as you kind of tick things off and start to put in place things you hadn't thought about, it's actually quite affirming because everything else is up in the air and ambiguous. Definitely speak to NDS, the National Disability Services, they're amazing, and speak to other providers. So my biggest threat and competition is not the competitor organisation down the road. My biggest risk is that we'll all fall over as a sector and won't be able to deliver it. So share your IP, but do the right thing, share your IP. We've gone through a huge amount of work to get where we are, and we're really happy to share a lot of it with other organisations so they don't have to sit and reinvent the wheel. So make friends with your colleagues, develop stuff together, do it. Someone somewhere has already done it. So don't sit there with a blank piece of paper and try and do it yourself.
And thank you very much for sharing your learnings with us. Just before I let you go, could you give us one key message for organisations who are maybe just about to enter the new trial sites?
Yeah, work out your costings. Work out what it really costs you to deliver the service before you start, and then decide if you want to do it after that. Don't go in half-cocked. Take a few weeks, plan it, don't rush in. It'll be there in a year's time. It'll be there in 20 years' time. You're not going to miss out if you look at what you're doing first off.